It's great to have you with us from wherever you're tuning in from. For more information about Elevate Church or to contact us, head to our website elevatechurch.me and take us wherever you go by downloading our Elevate Church AU app. We hope this message inspires and helps you to take your next steps in your journey.
Fortunately, I do remember what I'm preaching on today, so far so good. Hey, good morning. Now, before we get into the message, a couple of things I want us to take a moment to celebrate. The first one is last weekend, in case you were not paying attention, was Easter weekend, and here at Elevate Church, we gathered on Good Friday and we gathered on Easter Sunday. Good Friday this year, we had more than double the number of people that we had the previous Good Friday, and more than just the numbers. If you were here on Good Friday, it was a vibe. It was just a great. And I told the team this morning, it was a lot of fun, which is probably not what you say about Jesus on the cross. So it's like, okay, let's not call it that. But just it was great to be here and just to have that kind of reminder of just how incredible Jesus' sacrifice was. And then Easter Sunday, we were over 25% on the previous year's Easter Sunday. So I thought we would celebrate two things. Number one, God's goodness. And secondly, all of the team members across all of our teams who did that extra heavy lifting on both of those days to make that happen and prepare our church and God's house for the first time guests that we're here. So how about we celebrate that? Yes. All right. Good. Because the last clap, I said, turn around to Kim, I said, that's a Japanese golf clap. Ew. Pathetic. Anyway, passengers, if you care to shift your attention to the left side of the cabin, you will see two brand new, fresh, clean, working air conditioning units. And some of you are like, oh yeah, it's good. There's a lot of reasons that we're celebrating that, not least of which, just, that I won't be sweating as much as I normally do, but this is a little journey I want to take you on just for 1 minute to celebrate that these air conditioners are actually a milestone of something far greater. 2 years ago. So every year we have an air conditioning company that come and inspect all of our air conditioning units. They service them, clean them, and then, give us an update if something needs fixing or, even worst case scenario, replacing. And 2 years ago, they identified that these two air conditioners were nearly done. And we knew that because some Sundays we were putting buckets underneath to catch the water that's dripping, which I'm not sure they're supposed to drip water. And anyway, but we didn't do anything at the time because we didn't have the money for it. It's like, it's life sometimes, frustrating. But we never let go of the idea of the faith goal is we're going to replace those two air conditioning units. We just hope we can squeeze a bit more juice. We pray over them every Sunday, keep working. We kept buying more buckets, bigger buckets. And anyway, eventually last year, those two air conditioning units went to be with Jesus. And the service team came around and they're like, click, click, click. Nope. And no point doing CPR, nothing. It's game over here. And again, last year, we didn't have the funds to replace them. So for the last 12 months, this has been the comfortable half of our auditorium during the summer, and this has been the not so comfortable half of our auditorium. Well, anyway, this year, this month, we had the money.
Yeah. Woo-hoo.
And the reason we had the money is because many of you have been giving. And that's where the money comes from. It doesn't just magically fall out of the sky. When your parents told you money doesn't grow on trees, they were right. Money comes from working and investing and saving and then giving. And so that was made possible. But here's the thing. We taught a series last month around Elisha, this incredible prophet that God raised up. And one of the stories is these kings went to Elisha because they got stuck and they're in the desert and they needed water. And he said, start digging ditches. And you dig ditches first and then God brings the rain. But you are prepared for the provision and using that. It's incredible principle in life. And so, we think over the last 2 years we've been digging ditches, giving's been going up, you guys have been growing in faith and generosity and so on and so forth. last month, so we have 4 churches that meet here every weekend. If you didn't know that, now you know. And we're one of them. There's a church on Saturday. There's 2 churches after us on Sunday. Well, the church that meets after us on Sunday, now remember, they're here during summertime between midday and 2 p.m. Fair enough to say they're a little bit leveraged to have working air conditioners. They came to me and said, Mark, about a month ago, Mark, have you noticed those 2 air conditioners don't work? And I'm like, yeah, we've noticed. Do you mind if we buy one and have it installed? And I'm like, they're leveraged. I'm like, and I said, interestingly, that's the next project that we're about to tackle. And they said, well, can we contribute some money? And I'm like, yeah, great. If you want, we're going to do it anyway, but sure. So we got the quote, and each air conditioning unit is $4,050, so $8,100 altogether. And this church that meets after us, they're a much smaller church than us. They're a people group called the Matu people group. They're all fresh off the plane, first generation people. And after we had that conversation, I said, if you want to contribute something, great. I told Louis, $100, I don't know what they're going to give. And the next day, in our Elevate bank account, lands a bank transfer for $4,050 from the Perth Matu Baptist Church that have paid for one. Well, that's a great story, right? I think we can celebrate that. So we've emailed them, thank you for generosity, all that, in case you're wondering. And when they were being installed on Wednesday, I was here, I took a photo, and the first person that got the photo of proof of life of new air conditioners was the leader of the Perth Matu Baptist Church. And so it's cool, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Love that. I love stories. But what I'm saying is literally those 2 air conditioners, they're a milestone for us as a church that 24 months ago and then 12 months ago, we weren't capable of simply replacing broken air conditioners. So just love that. God's good. You guys are growing in generosity. It's really, really a fun time. All right. Now, the series is called Rescued to be a Rescuer. Thank you. Really this series we launched leading up to Easter. We talked in week 1 about this idea of being rescued from darkness, and where Jesus actually healed a man who'd been blind since birth, declared to that man, I am the light of the world. And whilst we may not be physically blind, all of us were living in darkness until Jesus came into our life. So we're reminded of that and just what that mattered. Second week of the series we called Rescued to Serve, where Jesus, 4 friends lowered their paralyzed friend, he'd been paralyzed since birth, through the roof of a house, and they knew that if they could just get their friend to Jesus, then Jesus would do Jesus things, which he did. He healed this man who'd been crippled since birth. But the big takeaway from that message in particular was we're meant to be the 4 friends. We like to be the crippled guy. Jesus, heal me of this, heal me of that. And he will, and he did. So we're in that story eventually. But the biggest idea was that crippled man, his miracle wouldn't have happened if his 4 friends hadn't got the revelation that part of their responsibility on earth is to carry people who can't carry themselves and get them to Jesus. And so that was a big, big takeaway. You can catch up on those 2. You can scan the flow code, download our app, listen to the podcast. Today's a bit of a companion message of that message. We obviously had an Easter sorbet last weekend, so this is the 3rd and final week of this series. Now, I don't want to pick a fight here, but let's talk age brackets for a second, shall we? Who are my 20-somethings and 30-somethings? But yeah, not you, Louie, and not you, Jenny. Yeah, nice try. Yeah, thank you. See, now some of you in your 20s and 30s, you're adulting really hard right now. You're like, your colleagues say, oh, what are you doing this weekend? And you go, I've got a real banger planned. Saturday morning, I'm going to IKEA, and then I'm going to swing past Bunnings, and I'll probably be in bed by 7:30. So that's your 20s and 30-somethings. That's fine. No judgment. I get it, Then there's the 40-somethings. I consider the 40-somethings kind of like neutral territory. They're not old enough yet to be picked on for being old, but they're sort of they kind of know they're not young. So if you're in the 40-somethings, all I want you to be reminded of is that you were born in the 1900s. All right. Moving along. Who are my 50-somethings? My fellow 50-somethings. Thank you. Yeah, awesome. What a great age. Love it. Now you can go to the grocery store and enjoy the music they're piping through the ceiling. I love this song. You know who you are because you don't need subtitles or a translator when I say things like rolling down the window, hanging up the phone, rewinding the tape. There you go. Rolling down the window. All right, now I'm not going to get you to put your hand up, but those of you that are in your 60s, you are in what I like to call the wonder years, where you wake up in the morning and wonder where you put your car keys. You wake up in the morning and you wonder if something has stopped working overnight. And then if it's fixable or if this is just how life's going to be from this day onwards. Now, look, say you live to the average age of 80. And incidentally, I hope you live longer than that. I hope you have a greater quantity of days and a greater quality of days. I hope you continue to follow Jesus and serve Jesus all of your days. I'll tell you right now, when I'm in my 90s, I'm going to be here. I won't be leading the church. Someone else will be leading the church. I'll be saying to them, where do you want me to serve? Put me in, coach. And wherever they put me, if they put me on the greet, I go on the door and greet people. I'm going to tell you, I'm 92 years old. I am going to be the best greeter that Elevate Church has ever had. It's going to look probably more like this. But, you got to do what you got to do. And some of you are going to be walking past with your kids, and you're going to say, that guy used to lead the church? And then they'd be like, no way, not possible. Well, that's me. Well, anyway. But just keep adding value. I pray that you will keep adding value in your life. All right, let's have a look at this guy. This is a jar full of 3,120 M&Ms. Now, there was a time when I would have bought the jar, filled it with M&Ms, but who could afford that right now? So thank you, ChatGPT. We have a very AI version of 3,120 M&Ms. And the reason I show you this is if right now you are currently 20 years old, each M&M represents the number of weeks you have left till you turn 80. This jar, 2,080 M&Ms, represents if you're currently 40 years old. This is the number of weeks you have left on the planet until you reach the age of 80. Then there's this one, 1,040 M&Ms if you're currently 60 years old. This is the number of weeks you have left until you reach the age of 80. And I ain't going to put the next jar up. There's not many M&Ms left in that one. But I don't share this to bum you out, okay? Just understand, it's depressing. Sheesh. Whew, shit. But it's really to remind us that tomorrow's not guaranteed. And that we are given the opportunity and I would say the responsibility to leverage every opportunity, to squeeze the maximum juice out of every day, week, month, year, season of our life. And in fact, the psalmist says it this way. God, this is a great prayer. And this morning we like to do this, say the highlighted words with me. Make sure you're paying attention. Say this with me. Teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. It acknowledges that life is a window that will close one day. But while it's open, it's a window of opportunity. And how we use that matters to make a difference for God and for others. It's a bit of the saying, count your days so you can make your days count. Don't take anything for granted. So today I want to unpack a story that Jesus told that really highlights the importance of making the most of every day and every opportunity. So you can scan this flow code. It'll take you to Matthew chapter 25. I'm going to be in the New Living Translation. Matthew was one of Jesus' handpicked followers. He was a tax collector, considered like the worst of the worst, and that wasn't a problem for Jesus. Chose him, said, come follow me. Matthew left everything in an instant and followed him, had a front row seat to Jesus' life and ministry, recorded the highlight reel, one of Jesus' four biographers. And so we're going to drop in, and this is kind of late in the story, late for Jesus. And we're going to drop into something that's become known as the parable of the talents, like we might think of the parable of the talents, or actually in this version, it's called the parable of the three servants. So that's kind of the deal. Church veterans, you're like, yeah, I know this. Here's the thing. I hope you learned something new today, even if you think you can teach this story from memory. So let's jump right in. This is Jesus. Now, Jesus has just finished talking about how the kingdom of heaven is like 10 bridesmaids. And you can read that, and he makes a metaphor there and draws conclusions. And then he continues. Again, the kingdom of heaven can be illustrated by the story of a man going on a long trip. He called together his servants and entrusted his money to them while he was gone. He gave 5 bags of silver to one, 2 bags of silver to another, and 4 bags of silver to the last, dividing it in proportion to their abilities, and then he left on the trip. Now, one thing that we really need to get perspective of is what's a bag of silver worth? Well, essentially in today's money, 1 bag of silver was worth $1 million. Okay, so 1 bag of silver, the price of a tank of petrol right now, okay? So just visualize that. You're going into your Coles Ready Express, you scan your Flybuys card, and you go, oh, pff, there we go. See you next week, Fred, with another bag of silver for next week's petrol. So it's $1 million a bag. So literally, this guy who's going on a trip, the master, he entrusted his servants respectively with $5 million, $2 million, and $1 million. But the spoiler, to get ahead of this, is actually this is not a story about money, okay? Money's simply the metaphor. It's actually a story about everything that we've received from God. Money, time, and abilities, okay? And us leveraging that. And the reason I highlighted this word entrusted is that's the key word, okay? Jesus doesn't use the word gave. He didn't say the guy gave $5 million, gave $2 million, gave what he said entrusted. Now, earlier this year, one of the most amazing things happened to me in my life that it's never happened before. And I never actually thought it would happen. And it was beautiful, for me, it was a beautiful moment. And what it was is early Sunday mornings, about 7 a.m., I got a text message from one of our people. And now whenever I get a text message early on a Sunday morning, it's like, oh dear, what's broken now? Whose car's not working? Whose kid's just done a nuclear nappy? And I'm even terrified to open the message, Anyway, so it was Gav, and I'm like, okay, Gav's reasonably trustworthy. I'll give it a shot. I like to live on the edge. I'll open the text message, and it said, "Hey Marco, do you have an electric drill that I could borrow?" And I was like, that's the nicest thing anyone's ever asked me, because 5 years ago, not only did I not have an electric drill, I never expected I would ever even need an electric drill. I've never owned one. I've never used one. I didn't know which way was forward, backwards, upside down, right way up. Nothing. But about 5 years ago, I felt God challenging me to just keep learning in life. And one of the things I felt God nudging me to learn is learn some DIY stuff. So now, I'm the guy you text on a Sunday morning if you need some power tools. Woo! So I'm like, yeah, dude, I'll bring you a drill. I'll bring you 17 batteries. I'll bring you all the drill bits. I'll bring it all. And I did. And so Gav rolls in. Here you go, Gav. Oh, yeah, I'm going to take a shed down. I don't know how to do that, but that's next week for me. And I'm like, okay, he used to be handyman. That's his story. Oh, yeah, okay. But here's the thing. There you go, Gav. There's all my stuff. It's my entire electric drill world in a Coles bag. But there was an implicit truth in that moment. I was not giving Gavin my power drill. I was entrusting Gavin with my power drill. See, whilst physically that drill changed hands, the ownership of that drill did not change hands. And in fact, if Gavin had started to think that the ownership had changed, we would be having a very different conversation right now. Although he is significantly bigger than me. It might be like, oh, you can keep it, Gav, it's okay. But one of the mistakes that too many people make when it comes to what God's placed in our lives, time, talents, and treasure, is to think that somehow we are the owners. But we're not. Jesus makes that very clear. Ownership is never transferred in this transaction. The master went away, but he's still the owner, and the servants are now the managers. They're given an amount and a responsibility. But at no point are they the owners. Well, what happened next was the servant who received the 5 bags of silver began to invest the money and earned 5 more. The servant with 2 bags of silver also went to work and earned 2 more. But the servant who received the 1 bag of silver dug a hole in the ground and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master returned from his trip and called them to give an account of how they had used his money. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. The servant to whom he had entrusted, not given, the 5 million, the 5 bags of silver, came forward with 5 more and said, hey, master, you gave me 5 bags of silver to invest and I've earned 5 more. The master was full of praise. Well done. Yeah. It pleases God. My good and faithful servant, you've been faithful in handling this small amount. Now, by the way, I'm not going to spend much time on this, but I don't want you to skip over this. He handed over this guy $5 million, and from the owner's standpoint, that was a small amount. What? God, I'd love you to entrust me with such a small amount. I'm not going to spend time on this except to say the things that you worry about, that you think are too overwhelming, too big, too out of reach, too insurmountable, to God, they are nothing. $5 million to God is a small amount. Again, it's not actually about the money, but here's a perspective. We're like, I don't know if I'm ever going to get through this. God's like, what? That? Mate, we can get through this. Nothing is too hard for me. Nothing is too out of reach for me. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about that today. Now I'll give you many more responsibilities. You can say many more opportunities, many more. Like it's fun investing and doubling. It's fun. Let's celebrate together. All right. Let's talk about increase for a second, because there is a corner of Christianity that kind of talks about that. I'm not dunking on other churches, and it's not that we're better, but I think differently to some Christians on this issue of increase. Now, I'm not about to say to you, when you get home, there's going to be a brand new Rolls Royce parked in your driveway. I'm not talking about any of that. I get around on a $6,000 Vespa. Haven't owned a car for 20 years. If you get a Rolls Royce in your driveway, bring it over. Let's go for a joyride. But what I'm saying is just increase. There's this thinking in some corners of Christianity that increase is bad, that we're meant to stay humble, not bringing attention to ourselves. It's not about us. It's not about you. And it's like, this guy increased and the master said, well done. Didn't say, oh, well, showing off, are we, buddy? Get to the back. So, and it does come up. In fact, in the year 2000, this book came out called The Prayer of Jabez. And let me tell you, if you were in the church world in 2000, the year 2000, when this book came out, it's just a mini book. When this came out, every preacher was preaching on it. Everyone was buying it. Everyone was back ordering it. Everyone was journaling with it. I mean, it started to look like you weren't an actual Christian if you weren't walking around holding one of these up every day when you walked into church. Prayer of Jabez, everybody. Have you read it? Oh, have you? And so it was a thing. It was a big, big deal. And look, you're like, okay. How many have heard of this, Prayer of Jabez? How many remember the phenomenon, like lived through it? Like, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, because then you had to buy the devotional, then you had to buy the group Bible study, then you had this like, oh my God, this prayer never ends. It's very expensive. Well, okay. Without further ado, here's the prayer. Oh, say the highlighter words. Oh, that you would bless me. Hello? Anyone here like to be blessed? Anyone? Want to be? Like it when it happens? And expand my territory. Now, here's the thing. It was right at this point where there was a corner of Christianity that started dunking on the prayer of Jabez. Started dunking on the book, started dunking on the order. Because if all you read is that part, it sounds incredibly selfish. Incredibly self-serving. Oh, bless me. Expand my territory. Yeah, okay. All right. Fair enough. But here's what Jabez says. God, please be with me in all that I do. I don't want to do it without you. And in fact, you start to see from Jabez's life, he wants to do it with God and for God. And says, oh, keep me from all trouble and pain, because incidentally, the name Jabez means pain. So it's like, I'm kind of over that. God, please, if we can kind of move into the next chapter where my name means something different, maybe blessed and expanded. And God, so it's like, but if God had a problem with this, praying for you to be blessed and expand your territory, wouldn't he say no? Like, sounds a bit self-serving to me. And God granted him his request. And here's my take on this. I pray this for me. I pray this for you. I pray this for Elevate. I pray this for churches around Perth, around the nation, and around the nations. Because if you are more blessed, and whatever that looks like in real life, and God allows you to expand your influence, your territory, your reach, you can use that for Jesus. You can use that for the church. You can use that to bring God glory. Now, of course, you can use that for yourself. I'm not sure that's the stuff, like purely for yourself. I think God likes to do good things for his kids. But to stop short of only praying for yourself, yeah, I have a problem with that. But to pray, God, bless me and expand my territory so that I can be more impactful, I reckon, Prayer of Jabez, you got my vote. I still own the book. I never bought the Bible study. And if you're still not convinced that maintenance, let's not, if that's the goal, well, Jesus continued his teaching story. Because he's gone through the first guy, the 5 million, who turned it into 10. You'll skip ahead, you see that the guy who got the 2 million turned it into 4, so exactly doubled. And then we get to camera 3. The guy that had been given 1 bag of silver, or $1 million, and said, Master, I knew you were a harsh man, harvesting crops where you didn't plant and gathering crops you didn't cultivate. I was afraid. Now, this is the sticking point right here. When God calls you to do big things, stretch your faith, expand your territory, move into areas you've never been to before, I think it's kind of actually natural to have a little bit of apprehension, to be a little bit of like, oh, geez, and even acknowledge, I can't really even see how this is going to play out. The mistake is to let fear have the final word. It's not to, it's going to creep in, but then to live your life and make decisions based on fear, that's the mistake, and that's the mistake this third guy made. I was afraid I'd lose your money, so I hid it in the earth. Look, here's your money back. Now, just also don't miss this. This guy didn't fly to Vegas and blow the $1 million on the roulette wheel. He gave the master back every single cent that was entrusted to him. So it's like, oh, well, no foul. But the master replied, you wicked and lazy. Are you all staying along with me? It's a very simple game to play at home. Let's try it again. You wicked and lazy. Here's the thing. I don't know about you, but when I meet Jesus face to face, and hopefully he says, come on in, I don't want this to be the words he clocks me with. Oh yeah, nice to see you, Mark, you wicked and lazy servant. I mean, come on, right? But he said it. And then, if you want to look at how increase works, more of that. If you knew I harvested crops I didn't plant, gathered crops I didn't cultivate, why didn't you deposit money in the bank? At least you could have gotten a bit of interest on it. And then he ordered, this is amazing, take the money from this servant and give it to the one with the 10 bags of silver. Sorry, I forgot to click. This is how that played out. The guy with the 5 bags doubled, got called good and faithful, and was rewarded with more. The guy that had 2 bags doubled, good and faithful, rewarded with more. And then we find the one that only had 1 bag, buried it, was called wicked and lazy, and actually ended up with less. It's a very simple principle. In fact, there's 2 principles here. Number 1, use it or lose it. The gym bros know this. Oh, yeah. Just hitting a new PB on the squat rack. Yeah, look at me. I'm Quadzilla. Yeah. And then, you get man flu or something else happens. Work schedule gets too busy. 3 months go by. You get back to the gym. You think, I remembered what I was squatting. You get back on the squat rack. You load it up with all the same weights. It's been 3 months, but I'm sure I've still got this. You squat, you pull it off. Even if you get through that set of squats, you know that tomorrow morning, you doing the number 2s, getting on and off that toilet is going to be a 2-person job minimum. Use it or lose it, but by contrast, use it and grow it. All right. Wow, I spent so much time talking about the air conditioners. Pretty excited about the air conditioner. Let me skip over 17 more minutes of my message. I know, you're all pretty disappointed, right? Yeah. And you'll never know what I had there. It was good. It was good. That's all I can say. Actually, it was very good. But here's the final piece of Jesus. And just before I read this, understand, there's a lot of Jesus' teachings where at the end of him telling the story, he didn't kind of explain it. He just tell the story, and his onlookers are like, huh? What? And this is not one of those stories. This is one of the stories where he's about to drop the mic and exit stage left, and he does some bottom lining. If you didn't understand any of that, you didn't understand about the silver and the bags and giving them each according to their own ability and increase and take the one and give it to them. If you didn't understand any of that, here's the bottom line. It's this. To those who use well what they're given, even more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But for those who do nothing, even what little they have will be taken.
We really hope you got a lot out of this message. If you live in the Perth area, we'd love for you to join one of our live experiences. For times and directions, as well as information, head to our website, elevatechurch.me. For those of you beyond the Perth area, we'd love for you to connect with our online experience, which premieres every Sunday via YouTube and Facebook Live, and on demand immediately after. And to partner with us to reach more people by giving financially, head to our website, elevatechurch.me, and also download our Elevate Church AU app.